If there was a heaven, I'd have to say it'd be very peaceful, very calm. It'd be the only time of your life or your afterlife where there'd be never once would you feel that you'd have to answer, or whatever your actions would do, you'd have to answer to anybody else anymore. Not to your family, not to your friends, not to society, not to work. You can finally realise who it is that you are, who Maria is. You know, who is. I just think being in heaven, it's like, you know, you're surrounded by loved ones, you're surrounded by the family that have now passed, and you're just free. I don't know how else to better say it, but you're free of all the ties and all the negativity that's back down on earth. Just free. I think it'd be a lot like what you see in the movies sometimes. You just see this white shade of a person, but it's just you, it's just your spirit that's up there. And that's all that's left now. But in fact, that's all that there ever was, even on earth. And the rest was just to cover you, that's all.
Well, my ideal idea of heaven would be to be able to experience all the things you sort of wanted to experience in life but were unable to. So for example, being able to travel back in time and sort of watch and experience the world changing and, you know, sort of seeing different cultures and all that type of thing. Also being able to go into the worlds of your favourite stories, so your sort of favourite novels and whatnot. Mine, for example, would be one of, you know, the Harry Potter books. Being able to sort of experience and live that, and the Star Wars films, would be great to be able to go in there and live all the sort of books that you love to read in these worlds that are sort of created for you, to be able to go in there and experience those. I think would be a fantastic heaven. In your mind, it would be sort of in your mind, you would have a body or whatever, but it wouldn't necessarily be a real body. You would just envision yourself with one, because that's, you know, that's how you see things. You see people with bodies, and so it would be in your experience of heaven as well.
There's a saying that hell is other people, and I really believe that. But I also believe that the opposite must be true. So if there's a heaven, then heaven is other people too. So my idea of heaven is a place where you get on with everybody, you share interests with people and have things in common with them. They make you laugh and you make them laugh too. There's none of that niggly, slightly abrasive relationship that we often have with people in our lives. Not that there's anything wrong with them or with you, but for some reason you just don't quite get it right together. The relationships in heaven will be really open and warm and sharing, and people will really respect you for who you are, and they will really support your strengths and your weaknesses, and they will forgive you for those things too. If you do have a body, it's not important, it's just a functional thing. There's certainly no aesthetic. People don't care about the aesthetics of your body. They are interested in you for yourself, your intelligence, your warmth, and in communicating with you and having a connection with you on an emotional and an intelligent level.
Well, my ideal heaven would be a heaven where there's a cocktail bar, a karaoke machine, heaps of cake, because I love cake, and heaps and heaps of people, probably millions of people watching me when I get up on stage and sing, and a really cool DJ. And I'd like to do that for eternity, but the only problem is I'd get sick of it pretty quickly, so I'd need a short-term memory. So let's say every 24 hours I'd start all over again, and I'd have just the most peaceful feeling, and I'd feel great. And I suppose in my heaven there wouldn't really be a real God. I mean, I'd be there, so I would want to be probably God in my heaven, so I'd be absolutely gorgeous. And I would probably go around looking for that person that was standing in line when God was handing out noses, you know, and they thought theirs was too big and gave me that extra piece to give me this big fat nose that I have. So I'd give them back their nose, and I have this perfect sort of Barbie doll sort of looking nose. And I don't think we'd look like Barbie dolls. We'd definitely have genitals, but we'd all be beautiful, but I'd be the most beautiful, I think.
Well, I do believe in a heaven, and my perspective of a heaven is probably the most commonly talked about image. White clouds, great open spaces, a feeling of lightness and freedom. There's no time. There's only space and the ability to do things that you want to do anytime, any place. There's no rushing to appointments. It's just a completely, opposite perspective and opposite feeling of life that we have today. That there would be no kind of negative feelings. We're in common with other people, we just grasp to other people, just like that, and there's no fights, there's no competition. It's just all of love and serenity. We just feel comfortable with each other and with things around us. I don't think we have a physical place, a physical body. Everything's just more kind of spiritual, I think. I think that we just have more time to relax. I think it's like a big resort. You have time to relax and experience people around you, experience just time. There's no deadlines. There's just an abundance of life, more abundantly than what we have today. Just a feeling of just greatness and just a freedom to do whatever you like, and there's no fear, and there's just unity and just love, and of course hopefully music, because I do love music. I just see it as a paradise, a really truly a paradise. I don't think our minds are as great enough to think about that kind of thing. It's too great for us to see ahead of time. I think it's more spiritual. We probably have a spiritual body, not a physical, where we can really touch or see ourselves. And thinking that, it's confusing. It's quite confusing, because I can't imagine myself without a body. But I think that you can live with the spirit. Me being spiritual, I think you can still live as a spirit. It's just, you just don't have a body, but it is hard to kind of grasp that image. But I think that, I guess, like more of a floating sensation, I think. I mean, that does sound a bit cliche, but we probably just float around instead of walking around, and it's quite abstract. It really is, because we can't really imagine that today. We don't see that today. We're pretty limited with what we can imagine heaven to be like, because we don't have it here in front of our faces. We only know of what we experience on earth. So it's really a quite abstract thought, I think, but it gets me confused at times if you keep on thinking and pondering about it. But I really do think that we just probably are more of a spiritual being, not a physical being.